Chapter 13. Garrett. Garrett pulled into Renee's parking lot at 7:15 the next morning. They both had to be at work by 8, and he had no idea how long it would take to get her car, so he'd arrived earlier than normal. Thankfully, she was ready when he rang the doorbell. "Good morning," he said, leaning in to give her a quick kiss. He'd iced his nose last night, but it was still sore. So as much as he wanted to give her a lingering kiss, he knew it would have to wait a little longer. "Morning." She locked the door behind her and they headed to his truck. But her attention was not on him. Instead, she was glancing around like she expected someone to jump out and scare them. "Everything okay?" he asked. He opened the passenger door and let her climb inside. "Get in and I'll tell you," she said, not quite meeting his eye. Okay, something was definitely going on. He got in and locked the doors before turning to her. "What's going on?" "Did anyone approach you this morning?" "No. Why? What's going on, Renee?" She chewed on her lip and shook her head. "I'm sure it's nothing, but I have this neighbor. He seems to be a little obsessed with me, and he didn't like that you drove me home last night. I thought he might try to confront you this morning." "No one confronted me, but should I be worried about this guy?" "I don't know. He always seemed harmless, but now he seems a little unstable." "Okay, well, tell me what he looks like and I'll watch out for him. But unless he hits harder than the coyote, then I think I'll be okay." Renee filled him in as they drove to the shop, and while Garrett wasn't excessively worried, he did add this to his list of things to pray about. "Thanks for dropping me off. I'll see you at work in a bit." Renee gave him a quick kiss on the cheek and then dashed out the truck. He waited until she was inside, and then he made his way to the hospital. "Got an interesting case for you today, Doctor," Yolanda said, as Garrett reached the nurse's station. "Oh, yeah?" She nodded, a smirk playing across her features. "Toddler boy with a runny nose." Garrett's brow furrowed. "A runny nose? How is that an interesting case?" "His snot is blue." For a second, he just blinked at her, sure he had misunderstood. "I'm sorry, what?" She shrugged and handed him the chart. "That's for you to figure out." Garrett opened the chart and scanned the information. The kid had to have stuck something up his nose. But what would turn his snot blue? When he pushed open the door to the exam room, the mother rose and crossed to him. She held the boy in her arms, and while he looked content, she looked distraught. "Is this some sort of weird cancer?" she asked. "Is he—" She didn't finish the words, but Garrett understood her perfectly. "No, I don't think it's cancer. How long has he been awake today?" A look of confusion clouded the woman's features, and she stumbled over the answer. Just a couple of hours. He was fussy, so I kept him home from daycare and then brought him in as soon as I saw this." She pointed to the light blue trail that snaked underneath the kid's nose. "Was he at daycare yesterday?" She nodded. "Yes, I'm a teacher, so he's there from 7 to about 4 every day. Why?" "Has your son ever put anything up his nose before?" The woman's eyes widened like $50. "You think he put something up his nose that did this? What would turn his snot blue, and how could he have slept like that?" "Those are very good questions. Let's see if he'll let me look up there. Can you lay him on the bed?" Though she did not look convinced, the woman laid the toddler down and helped Garrett hold him still. With his free hand, Garrett grabbed a light and shone it up the boy's nose. Though he couldn't see what it was, there was definitely something up there. The only question was, what was the best way to remove it? He could try tweezers, but he was afraid to do that in case the boy moved, and the tweezers damaged his nasal cavity. He could try massaging whatever it was down, but he was afraid he might not start high enough, and then he would simply push whatever it was farther up his nose. "Does he know how to blow his nose?" Garrett asked. The woman lifted an eyebrow at him. "He's not even 2. I can barely get him to eat with a spoon. I'm afraid we haven't mastered nose blowing yet." "Okay, we'll try something else." There were many ways to get someone to sneeze, but a lot of them wouldn't work on a toddler. However, there were 2 he could try pretty easily. He looked around for something with soft bristles. "What are you doing?" the woman asked. "Looking for something to tickle his nose with," Garrett responded as he opened a drawer. Inside was a small pipe brush that he thought might work. "If I can stimulate his trigeminal nerve, I think I can make him sneeze out whatever is up there." He grabbed the pipe brush and rubbed it gently under the boy's nose. It took a moment, but he began to see the boy's nose twitch. He put his hand behind the boy's back and lifted him to a sitting position just as the boy sneezed and a small blue item flew out of his nose and landed on the paper covering the bed. "Oh my gosh, what is that?" the mother asked, her nose wrinkling in disgust. Garrett leaned closer and then grabbed a pair of tweezers to pick it up. He held it up and turned it over. "I think this is a bingo dauber pad." "What?" The woman's mouth fell open. Where did he get a bingo dauber pad? "Do they play bingo at his daycare?" The woman shook her head. "I have no idea, but I guess I'll be asking. I don't even understand how he would have gotten it off if they did have them." "Looks like he's a pretty resourceful kid, and in my time as a doctor, I have to tell you that once a kid sticks something up their nose, it becomes a bit of a game to them to see what else can fit up there, so I'd watch him closely." The woman sighed, the exhaustion of motherhood clinging to her like a familiar sweater. "I'll do my best. My oldest child was not like this at all." "Every child is unique," Garrett said with a smile. "I'll send the nurse in with your paperwork and you'll be good to go." Though he was tempted to take a picture of the dauber, this would be a story most wouldn't believe. He didn't think it would be appropriate to whip out his cell phone, so he dropped the dauber in the human waste bin, washed his hands, and headed out to find a nurse. Renee was the first one he saw. She sat behind the desk and smiled up at him when he reached it. He returned the smile. "You made it. Everything was okay with your car then?" "Other than the bill I can't really afford, yeah, it was fine. Thanks again for the lift this morning." Garrett nodded and placed the chart in the correct pile. "Happy to. The paperwork for room 1 should be printing soon." "I'm on it." "Good. Guess I'm heading to the next room then." He grabbed the folder off the wall and sighed when he saw the words, "head wound." This was probably going to be messy, but at least he had dinner tonight with Renee to look forward to.